All right, Eugene. I guess first of all, back in the country after what was probably a pretty whirlwind week for you last weekend. A lot's been said about Dan's troubles, but how has the last week been for you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've literally just within the last couple of hours arrived back into New Zealand. I'm in the in Hamilton, the great Hamilton, the great city of Hamilton, at Jet Park, the wonderful Jet Park Hamilton facility. So yeah, I mean, I am thankful that I was able to get a voucher to get home. Um, Much earlier in the year, I was able to do this just by pure chance. To be honest, me and Dan got a voucher. We got our vouchers a week apart, so he's not back till next Saturday. But it's literally the last voucher my team was able to secure. So it is what it is.
I know you guys had these vouchers for a long time. Things were looking pretty slim for Dan a week ago to actually, get overseas. I know you guys didn't fly out till Thursday night.
Yeah,
For yourself, what was that whole sort of rushed experience like?
but unreal. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't sit here and say that I wasn't nervous and uptight about the whole thing because I've never done that before. I've never had to leave to so late in the week to such a high level of competition. So it did make me nervous. Um, but look, all your nerves are quickly relieved when you come out of there with the win. So preparation wasn't the best, but we came away with the result, and we are thankful for that this time around. But it's definitely something you don't want to repeat. That kind of build up, that kind of preparation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dan looked really good against Nasrat. The wrestling was on point, which a lot of people weren't really expecting to see. And I noticed he was throwing a few more head kicks than we'd normally see. Was that all part of the game plan?
Yeah, we wrestling was a big part of the game plan. We did practice before we were shut down. We were wrestling a lot. We would mainly practice to wrestle a bit more against the wall, but we also knew that if we could drag him into the middle, he had a tendency to, similar to Ortega, he has a jiu-jitsu type of mentality when he gets onto his back, and um, puts getting up and framing and pushing away and making space. He puts that on the back burner because he likes to sit on his back and look for different submissions and stuff, which is like, it's always a good sign when you see another fighter that does that, because then you know that you can if you can get them down, you know that you can sustain a lot of time on top and get some damage off. So that was definitely part of our plan. The unfortunate thing was, with Dan training in his garage for the last 4 or 5 weeks, we didn't practice any wall work, which was a big part of our plan. So it was kind of pleasing to see that he was quite successful on the wall, even though he hadn't trained it for 4 weeks.
Yeah, when you guys did get to Vegas, I know it was a pretty quick turnaround, straight into a quick workout. Did you do any wall work when you landed?
Yeah, we got Frank on the wall straight away. So we got like 5 or 10 minutes, probably less than 10 minutes in, because obviously we're in the middle of a weight cut, so you don't want to train too hard. But we got Dan just used to like feeling and pushing up against the wall and driving his weight into someone and taking him down and consolidating the position against the cage. Just got him the feel again, because that had obviously been absent in the garage, where you don't want to fly through the jib wall. So yeah, we jumped into that straight away.
I know you've said in other interviews that if the Islam Makhachev fight comes onto the table for Dan. He'll probably take that. Has anything come through on that front?
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, Dan's there till Saturday, so they've got till Saturday. I never said Dan. I said it's highly likely. It's highly likely Dan might take it. There's a lot to contemplate regarding that fight. Yeah. So, but you know, I've never known Dan. I don't think Dan's refused a single UFC fight, a single one, in a long career. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
From where you were sitting on, I guess Sunday over here, looking at Volk's fight, that third round, what was the feeling in the corner like during that round? I mean, that was chaotic.
The feeling was Craig Jones was about to have the shortest tenure as a coach as part of the team that any coach has ever had. Hey, I don't know if Craig Jones is watching this, but nah. Look, funnily enough, the complete opposite happened. And Craig Jones and everything that he went through with Volk worked superbly. And yeah, I mean, we laughed about it after. That Craig's job was like hanging by a thread there for a second, for a little while, but in the end, you know, 20 minutes before that, I saw Craig and Volk defending the exact same submissions, just going over it and going through the motions, going through the routine, and and they had been doing that, you know, that whole week. They'd been doing that whole week. They'd just been going over and over and over it. So it was good to see, you know, although you don't want to be in that position, it was good to see Alex come through and use those techniques, but also a bit of mongrel, a bit of Aussie mongrel just to get out of that. Yes, there's a technique, but sometimes you need a bit of will to get out of some submissions, just the will not to go out. And that definitely came into play. So, yeah, it definitely was a hairy moment in terms of my career or time in the corner that I've, you know, one of the most hairy moments I've ever experienced.
There's a photo going around online. I'm not sure who took it, but it's when Volk's in that triangle after the mounted guillotine, and him and Ortega are looking like straight into each other's eyes. It's sort of like they're having a conversation just without saying anything with their eyes. Like Volk's just saying, "No, you're not going to beat me." Was that sort of the vibe that you were getting in that situation? Or were you just like, "All right, Volk, get out now"?
Yeah, look, when it initially happened, I did not panic. I expected Volk to be able to get out of that relatively easily. When the legs started shaking like that, I knew Volk was really struggling for space. And then when those legs, that's when I really started to panic a bit more. And I thought to myself, shit, Volk's actually in something here. It's something proper that, you know, he's in something that's threatening him properly. And yeah, and then me and Craig and Frank and Joe proceeded to lose our voice as Volk got out of it. So yeah, just sheer will and determination, and just not letting yourself down, your team down, your family down, not letting Ortega get one over him. It all comes into play. You got a tight submission on how badly do you want it. And it was a good test that Volk came through, I believe.
What was your take on everything that happened after that third round? I mean, when I was watching that, I thought Ortega was not making it into the fourth. Like, just seeing him sprawled out on the floor and his corner having to help him up, I was very surprised they sent him back in there.
Yeah, look, I'm a little disappointed that the way that was all handled. I thought it could have been handled a little bit better by the ref and the officials. It's not for me to speculate on whether the corner should of sending him back in there or not, because the corner knows best. They know their fighter best. No one else knows their fighter better than them, better than those cornermen and coaches. But yeah, with the helping him to the stool, and then the extra time to check the injuries and stuff, and sorry,
Just pick up what you're saying on it's obviously the corner knows their fighters best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed with the way Herb handled it. I thought he could have, like, if you want to check the fighter's health, I understand the reasons you do that, but do it expeditiously. Do it as fast as you can. Do it in a way that doesn't disadvantage us. Check them and then move on, and have a bit of emphasis to do that. Like, have a bit of motivation. Like, move, get it done. Definitely some stalling going on. He shouldn't have been helped up to the stall. Whether he should have been sent in or not by his corner, I can't speculate on. That's completely, his corner knows him best. So if they felt that he should go, he should be chucked back in the fight, then that's up to them. And at the end of the day, he did make it to the final bell. So maybe that was the right choice. Yeah, it was all good.
Yeah, and another win in the bag. You guys have been back on some good form lately, which is always good to see. Dan obviously took his moment on the mic to, call out a few issues back home, and he mentioned you guys are looking at moving the UFC boys over to the States. Can you just talk to that a little bit, like how far along that planning is? Is that happening? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the boys are frustrated. They're extremely frustrated. They're they're young men in the prime of their career, and they're completely frustrated. They're not just frustrated for themselves, they're frustrated for everybody, all the New Zealand athletes, and once more, not just for the athletes, for all the people that are stuck outside, experiencing the same frustrations with MIQ that the athletes are. So they're just letting a bit of that frustration out, and they have every right to do that. In terms of us moving to America, it's a very real possibility that we may have to do that. Every New Zealand citizen should have the right to come and go from their country. You should especially have the right if you earn a living overseas and you provide for your family and you generate income almost entirely overseas, then you should be able to continue to be able to do that. The quarantine, just for the record, quarantine is something that no one has a problem with. All those guys are happy to do the quarantine. But the voucher system to get in and out of the country is an absolute disaster. It's a disaster. And that can be handled so much better. And it just hasn't been given any attention. No one is giving it any attention in terms of improving the processes, making it better, making sure people that earn a living overseas can come and go when they need to, making sure that people that need to see families and loved ones that are dying or under stress or in hospital, making sure they can come and go freely. You can't. This isn't a new problem. This has been going on for 2 years. And where's the improvement in the system? There's been virtually none. In fact, you can argue that the new virtual lobby has made the situation even worse. So they're just frustrated. And they think that more should be done. And they believe that they bring some value to the country, and that value, it's not, it's not as tangible as the value that some of the other sports in this country bring. But you can't sit there and tell me that, that these guys and that this team doesn't bring economic value to the country. Who's buying all this equipment, all this sporting equipment? Who's filling up all these gyms? Who's having a big part in filling up all the gyms? Who's buying all these pay-per-views? The New Zealand public. Who's putting these big shows and filling up stadiums and hotels, and like this all gets completely disregarded when my team's doing this. When other teams do it, it's fine. When 15 people come and watch the Netherlands cricket team playing, I don't even know who they're playing. When 15 people come and watch that, that's being highly regarded. But yet we can't get any of the economic value that we bring into the country regarded. So it's like that's all just frustration, and the boys just want something done about it. And if there's nothing done about it, then we just got to do what we have to do, unfortunately.
Do you have a time frame on making that decision? I know Israel's been sort of rumored for a January card. Would you want him to be moved before having to, get into full-on training for that date?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be done before next year. And you're talking about, at least a couple of months before next year. Basically so that everybody can start the year fresh. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is have themselves established and in a good training regimen, losing weight, understanding where all the resources are, wherever they end up settling, and just in a good routine, and put some roots down before they have to start training and for these fights and representing their country again. So it would have to be this year.
Have you had any discussions with gyms over in the States or with the boys back here about what gyms might be worth looking into?
It's 10 guys. If you include BJ and Jenna from the PFL and possibly Junior Farr, there's 10 guys. You know what 10 guys are? That's a gym. So my intention 100% would be to set up our own gym. We would not need to join another gym. We've just spent the best part of the last decade, last 5 years at least, representing our country against these gyms. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a funny situation where you have to put so much time and effort into getting on top of these gyms, and then you have to go and join them. That's a funny situation to be in. So my intention is to set up our own gym and basically keep things going as they are now, but just on a different block of land overseas.
Would you be making the move over as well, or would you be staying back here?
Well, look, I would have to split my time, to be honest. That these guys based overseas, they're a quarter of my team. They only represent a quarter of my team, 25%. So there's still 75% of my team back here. Professionals, that fight at one championship, fight in Australia, fight regionally. That's one of the saddest things for the guys if they have to move overseas, is that they basically have to leave their team and their team's over here. So obviously I'm a little bit different because I'm just the coach. I'm not competing. So I can be subjected to the voucher system a little bit with a little bit more ease. But those guys cannot dictate, their career cannot be dictated by when they can get a voucher in and out. It was me. I'm a little bit different. But yeah, I would have to split my time. Unfortunately, it would be definitely a big year of travel for me. But you just got to do what you got to do, right? That's always been our attitude. Whatever it takes has always been our attitude. That's how we got here. Yeah.
In terms of trying to secure vouchers, I assume you guys have sort of exhausted every possible avenue you can try to get exemptions in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We try to get the same thing that the All Blacks and the netball teams and everybody else was getting. But there's this weird criteria. We have to be a massive team of about 50 or 60 people deep. How, what do all these? How do all these individual sports fit into that criteria? And if there's a criteria for the people that are representing their nation overseas that are in big teams of 30 and 40, why isn't there then a criteria for this team for the individual sports? Rowers, tennis players, and golfers, and MMA fighters, and boxers. Like, why are they any different? Simply to say that they're different because their sport involves one person at a time instead of 15. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not fair is the best way to explain that. That ain't fair, Sport New Zealand. So, yeah, we've tried everything and we've had a roadblock every time. We've had a roadblock every single time. I don't know, man. Maybe we might not be in this position if all New Zealand athletes were treated equally, but they're not, unfortunately.
In terms of, I guess, feedback on what Dan and Israel have said the last few days, do you feel like some people have taken that the wrong way, thinking that, the UFC boys are, just saying that it's only them that are affected, because it's obviously not just them, and they're not saying that.
No. Recently, they've focused a lot of the attention on themselves because they've got fights. And everything they said hasn't been completely accurate. A lot of it's fueled by emotion and frustration, and that's fine. That's real. That's them being real. That's not, that's really how they feel. They're really emotional. But, they're speaking for everybody. They're speaking for everybody. They're speaking for all this poor lady that got a place recently, but then couldn't get a flight. She wants to come up. She wants to leave to go to India and see, and bury her brother and support her mum. They're speaking for everybody. They're speaking for all the other sports athletes. Why are they speaking? Why have they chosen to speak? Well, because we have the biggest platform to speak at the moment. Because we're in a position where some of my athletes are the most popular athletes in the country, and they have got a massive platform. So, yes, recently there's been a lot of focus and attention on the sales, but it's a little bit bigger than that. And my guys understand that. They talk about that all the time. It's not just about us. It's about the failure of this MIQ system and bringing it to the attention. And maybe it might be the catalyst for some change, and that change affects everybody, all the families, grandfathers, cousins, you name it, or coming to see their loved ones, all the athletes, all the individual athletes in the solo sports who don't qualify in this ridiculous criteria where they have to be a big team of 30 to go. So it's definitely bigger than that, and people, most people are supporting us. Then, of course, you get, there's always members of the public that are entitled to their opinion, whether it be, wrong or right. Most of the time wrong. They're entitled to their opinion, and you can't do nothing about that. Yeah.
Just before I let you go, something a little bit more lighthearted. You obviously got to enjoy a little bit of time out and about in Vegas, which must have been nice coming off the last 5 or 6 weeks. Tell me a little bit about the experience you guys had, particularly at that Las Vegas Raiders game, because that looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
Unreal. Unreal. We were in a special VIP area where you sit on the field. You're basically on the same level as the field. So the players, like if the play's by you, they're literally 15 meters away from you, 10 meters away from you, in a special booth. And I think this booth, they said, I think they said it cost $25,000 to sit, to hire this booth and sit there. And then there's 65,000 people at that stadium, I believe, between 60 and 65,000 people. And it was an unreal game that came down to the wire, went into overtime. It was just an amazing experience. That stadium's a state-of-the-art stadium. That NFL, they really know how to do sports, live sports. If you've never been to an NFL game, man, I highly recommend it. But yeah, and then Volk and Dan, they got themselves on the big screen. It was just an amazing experience to cap off an amazing win. Definitely a weekend to remember for sure. I'll never forget it for the rest of my days. So very grateful, very grateful.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for your time as always. Always a pleasure to chat with you, Eugene.
All good, Chris. Thank you.